Hello everyone and welcome, my name's Lainey and this is Big Girls Really Do Cry. And oh my god, yeah, if things always seem to get worse. You know, last time when I was here and I was upset because I couldn't do this, and then the tribunal, and there was loads of bollocks. I'm going to use the word bollocks because that's a good word, isn't it? Bollocks. Bollocks. Yeah. So I spent 5 or 6 days in hospital. Yeah, fun. Honestly, I swear, it doesn't rain but it pours. So I'm trying to think. I think I last did a video on the 5th or 6th of October. It's now the 22nd. It's Tuesday the 22nd of October today. And last week, anyway, where do I even start? So yeah, as I said, I ended up in hospital for 5 or 6 days. So basically, I had what I would call a sore belly button, and I'd spoken to my GP. They'd came and had a look, put me on antibiotics. Well, they used a thing called recovery at home. They put me on antibiotics. 2 days later, it was worse, and you could literally feel a lump round, and it was affecting me bending and moving and stuff because it was so sore. And it had started to ooze as well, whereas before it just been red and sore. Now it was oozing from inside of my belly button. And so I rang Recovery at Home again because obviously they'd been out, and they said to me, oh, well, if it's worse, then you need to go to hospital because you're going to need bloods taken and you may need it lancing, etc. And I was like, oh, really? I don't need this right now. But anyway, so this was 11 o'clock on the Saturday morning. So not Saturday just gone, Saturday before. Don't know what day that is, but whatever. And they said, so I waited for an ambulance. The ambulance came at 6:15 on the night. Took me in, had a look at it. They said, right, we're going to book you onto a surgical ward, and the surgeon's going to come down and see you. This is when I was in A&E for like 7 hours. But in the process of that, that's what he said. He said he thought that the abscess was 4 centimetres by 4 centimetres by his judgment, or he didn't know how he knew that. Like, it wasn't like he had a ruler or whatever, but it was just by feel, I guess, to get to know. And he'd cleaned it out, and obviously, like, it was gunky and a bit minging. And so, like I said, he booked me a surgical bed, called down the surgeon came down. Surgeon, at first, just thought it was just a bit sore on my belly button, like, and that it was just my belly button was just a bit sore, and it getting gunked and stuff. And I was like, well, what about the lump? And he went, what lump? So then he felt, and he was like, oh, like that. And then he was thinking about it, and he said, normally what we would do for that is like cut you open, lance it, clean it all out, pack it, blah blah blah. And he said, but I don't want to put you to sleep because of my size. He said the risk of putting you to sleep is high, obviously. So what he decided to do was do it while I was awake, essentially, but without actually cutting me open, because like it had broken down inside my belly button. He decided to use that. So he got all of his like tools from his surgery tools, like the surgical kit, you know, what they open, and then they've got all the tools, and I'm like, this is gonna hurt. typically my camera decided to just go off there. Anyway, as I was saying, I thought this is going to hurt. And he used, you know, them big sort of tweezer things that they have that like look like huge eyebrow tweezers, you know what I mean? Probably like tweezers for like abominable snowman's misses or something. Why did I say that? Anyway, so I used them to like open the hole that was already there, and then he literally took his fingers and squished around all the lump to push the gunk out. Painful, very. He then, first he like washed my stomach with iodine thing, and then he did that, and then he flushed out with 3 syringes full of iodine. He like then pushed all that into the hole that had already been created in my stomach, pushed that through till it all clean, like come away, and then cleaned it with actual saline, and then he packed it with like this silver dressing thing, and then he put like a dressing over the top. Yeah, that wasn't fun. It was very painful. And then before doing that, he'd said to me that he was going to do this, and then when he'd done that, I could probably go home on antibiotics. But then when he did that, he changed his mind. He said, actually, I think you need to have IVs, so we're going to have to keep you in. I was like, no, I didn't want to stay in, but needs must. Yeah, that bloody Sean Connery pops up all the time with his teeth. Anyway, yeah, he basically showed us how to stay in. So the bed that was booked for me, I went up to that ward. I'm going to put some photos in, right? Now, there's photos of like, you know, my drip and the cannula and bruising and other things. But there is a photo of my belly button. Now, this is afterwards. It looks a bit rank. All the skin's peeled round if for some reason. I'm pre-warning you, just so that if you don't want to see, I'll put it in as the last photo of this lot. And if you don't want to see it, then yeah. Just forward past that for a second. Yeah, I'll do that now. Yeah, it looks a bit rank. It could look worse, I suppose. Maybe not. But yeah. But the other thing was that I added in there was in the letter that I got to go for the GP. It said peri-umbilical abscess, right? And then underneath it's got like what is it? Is it condition? I can't remember. Morbidly obese and chronic or something. And I'm like, for an abscess, everything is blamed on your weight, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, go in with a broken toe. Ah, it's because you're fat. You know what I mean? It just like, I just don't see why that bit's needed. But I'm not a doctor, but I just, like I said, I don't see why that bit's needed. So yeah, so obviously because I was in hospital, I didn't get to do any reablement, of course, or any of that. I got out of hospital. Getting out of hospital was a nightmare in itself. So I was supposed to get out on Tuesday, so a week ago today. It was all booked for 9 o'clock in the morning. It was just, honestly, it was comical how tits up things go. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, 2 guys came, 2 ambulance, not just 2 random blokes, obviously. Yeah, so 2 ambulance men came with a wheelchair, like yeah, and I'm going to get in this how. Yeah, so that was the first balls up. Then they sent the guy who's meant to come. Then he said, "Oh, you haven't had a risk assessment done since 2021." Now, nothing has changed. Nothing. Everything's still the same. I still live in the same place. Everything's still laid out the same. Nothing's changed. But they had to do this risk assessment, which meant that for some reason I couldn't go home till Thursday. So from the Tuesday, yeah, they were going to go and do a risk assessment, and I'm thinking to myself, well, how are they going to let me know? How are they going to get in my house to do the risk assessment? Blah, 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 blah. And they didn't come in my house. They just looked from outside. Yeah. To say I was, I was extremely upset, very upset. The poor sister on the ward, like, because partly because of frustration, partly because of like the balls up with all of it. I'm like, it's not like this wasn't booked properly in the first place. It was just some sort of miscommunication somehow. And then to do a risk assessment when they didn't actually come in, they just viewed it from the outside. And like I said, nothing's changed. It's exactly the same as it was in 2021. So, yeah. But the other thing is with the ambulance, you had to book it before 10 a.m. for the next day. So because it was past 10 a.m. on the Tuesday now, and they'd done the risk assessment, whatever, they couldn't book it for the Wednesday. So they had to book it for the Thursday. So it was booked in for 11:30 on the Thursday morning, and no one came, and it got to 12:15, and then I got told that there was the ambulance had been diverted or something, and so it wasn't coming till 2:30 instead. You might have heard at the end of the last bit that you've just watched my ring doorbell. So the engineer came about the heist. Yeah, that's another issue we'll get into. Just to finish off about the hospital and the ambulance thing. So it was rearranged for 2:30. They came at 2:15, and I got home basically because I am home, obviously. Yeah, but there was a lot of frustration, etc. I'm still on antibiotics. I'm on, I forgot what you call these things, or amoxiclav. Yeah, amoxiclav. That's what I'm seeing they're called. Might not be, but that's what I'm seeing they're called. Can't believe how wet my hair still is. It's like 20 to 1, and this was washed. When was this washed? 10 o'clock this morning, but it wasn't a plait. I took it out anyway. Don't know why I'm changing subject. There's still a bit of ooziness in my stomach, not much at all, very little, and it wasn't because it completely dried, and then I don't know. Anyway, that's another change of subject. So that's that whole thing. This video is going to be like huge. Where should I go? Tribunal. I've decided to go ahead without my rep. He has put in a written statement. I spoke to him on the telephone after what happened before, where he said he wasn't available for that date. When I spoke to the tribunal, they said it will be December or January. I can't wait. I really can't. I need it done. I need it over with. Whatever the outcome, I need it done. I didn't feel like, after speaking to him, that he would add anything to it. I felt like he wouldn't improve it. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose with him or without him. And I didn't think the point of waiting till January to do the same thing or have the same outcome mattered. His statement that he sent me to put in, yeah, well, it wasn't great, to be fair. Like, I have to say, he just commented on a case that actually lost in the end, although he did say that the points of of the things still stand, maybe. And the other thing he did was quote what I wrote and wrote what I wrote, which I wanted to read. So, yeah, I wasn't impressed, and I'm pleased that I've decided not to wait, because I really don't think it would be of any benefit. Um, and I honestly 99.9% believe that if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose either way, and whatever happens, I'll have to deal with, and that's how it is. So yeah, that's a recap on that. Moving to the heist, as you were aware, I told you because I'd wanted to go to yeah, as you were aware about the heist, the battery was flashing. They finally came, not Friday gone, but the Friday before, put a battery in it. That was a whole thing in itself, because the guy didn't know about the appointment. Luckily, he found a battery in his van, blah de blah. It was a bit of a nightmare. He changed it. Obviously, I ended up in hospital on Saturday, so nothing happened. I didn't go in the wheelchair. Reablement started again yesterday on Monday, and guess what happened? The battery started flashing. Honestly, if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck. Like, beyond a joke is all I can say. I couldn't believe it. So I phoned the engineer out, that who was just being there, while the ring doorbell? The ring doorbell went. He's redone the battery again and put a new handset on in case it's not charging properly in the docking station. So fingers crossed and everything that it works. Reablement, I think, is starting again on Thursday. So fingers crossed that it all works and we have no issues. Because, yeah, I honestly, mind is baffled. It is truly baffled. So when I did sit in the wheelchair yesterday, I did 8 minutes, which I was quite surprised at, because I thought it would have took me right back in the fact that I hadn't been in it for 3 weeks again. But no, I did 8 minutes, so I was really pleased with that. Let's hope that I have no more issues. Everything crossed and all of that. What else? Charity event. Well, if you might have seen it, but I've just put a video out about the charity event, which is on the 1st, the 2nd and 3rd, games, gaming and game shows in aid of Stroke Association. I'm doing it with Nick and Andrea, so we're all doing it together to try and raise as much money as we can, fingers crossed. I did put a video out with regards to if you had a channel and you'd want to get involved, or if you had a raffle or a auction prize that that you would like to donate. All the details are on that video if you would like to go and watch it. If you're interested, that would be fab. What else? So anyway, as I said last week, I was a bit upset. I thought, because I'd gotten up to 17 minutes in 10 days, I think it was, and it was still 2 weeks to Jenny's wedding. Jenny is my niece, and I thought that I might be able to get up to doing an hour, which meant that I would have time to go to where her wedding was being held in the wheelchair, spend literally 2 minutes to give her a hug and everything, and get back home. I was hoping for that. Obviously everything went wrong, and I wasn't able to do that. I was really gutted about it, and she got married on Friday, so not Friday just gone, but the Friday before, and in the middle of her wedding she came to see me, which was just absolutely lovely. And as I'd just seen her walking down like the ramp type of thing outside my house, and I was like doing something, and I looked up and seen her, and I just burst into tears, because obviously to come out of your wedding to come and visit your hard auntie, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I was really chuffed, and she looked absolutely gorgeous. And Dylan, who is her now husband, he looked very handsome in his suit. And I have some photographs, and I also have a photograph with me that was taken in my, well, I was in my bed obviously, and we were both around me. Yeah, so I will insert those now, and yeah. Didn't she look gorgeous? Honestly, like absolutely gorgeous. I loved the dress. She looked beautiful, and I really hope that she felt really beautiful. I bought our little bracelet, which I included in the pictures, um, with not with the intention that she needed to wear it for the day, but it absolutely fit in perfectly. Um, and yeah, I really sad that I wasn't there, obviously, but I'm so pleased that she had like the best day, and she's just come back from honeymoon, and so starting married life, as it were. Um, and yeah, I wished I could have been there, but tis what it is, isn't it? Life sometimes, life sometimes. Um, okay, so the last thing I think I've got to talk about is well, I've put them all together. So, diabetes diet and Mounjaro. So I mentioned in my last video that um, the diabetic nurse had came to see me about it, and I think this was the weekend before. So at the time I hadn't tried it, I hadn't taken it or anything. Um, but yeah, so she came to see me talk about it, and we decided that I was gonna try it, etc. Um, Up until that point, as you know, I've been calorie counting with food, and that has been fine. No problems there. I've got photos I'll show in a second. Diabetes wise, up until the Mounjaro point, I was still between the sort of 16-18 area. Now, it honestly has been amazing. I'm going to show you the photographs first, right? So I'm going to show you the photo. So I took the Mounjaro on Monday at dinner time. So wait a minute, where are we? So not last week, the week before, because it would have been, wait a minute, this, I think somewhere around the 8th, I'm not sure, but I took it for the first time then. Now, I took it on the dinner time, so I'd done my morning blood sugars. I was trying to think of the word. And I also still am taking insulin as well. Not as high as I was, but still. So I'm currently on 36 units, although at the time I was doing 40 when I did this. Now, so I took it on the Monday. The first issue I had was just a bit of dry mouth and lips. That was it. And that only happened on the first day, for the first few hours afterwards. About day 3, I got a little bit of diarrhea and stuff, but I do also have IBS, and I know that can trigger. It was really bad with the tablet forms of medication for diabetes, but that didn't last. I then went constipated for 3 days while I was in a hospital. And other than that, it's been okay. It's not extreme as it has been before, so I'm managing, shall we say, I'm managing with it. Now, the effect on my head in terms of food is mad, because I just don't feel hungry, which is mental, because all I ever did was think about food, essentially. Like, food was my calm, so to not think about it is really strange. um at first, I think on the first day I had 1300 calories or something, and in 1600 the next. um and I It's so weird, because I'd made a sandwich. Well, I hadn't. Cara did. I had a sandwich, and it's in the photographs. I'll show it. Yeah, it was corned beef and beetroot, and I used one bread bun in half with like corned beef and beetroot on, and I had some mixed nuts as well. And I remember after eating the first one feeling like, like as if you just had this huge, massive meal. I felt like that, like I felt so stuffed, and I was kind of like, you know what I mean, trying to eat it, kind of thing. But I think the strangest thing is like, obviously because I've got carers, because I've got to take insulin still, I still have to eat, because obviously I can't have insulin and not eat, because my blood sugars would drop. But especially like morning and tea when I do take the insulin. But if it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't for having the carers to do that sort of reminder thing, I don't think I would think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would think, and apart from in the sense like, oh, I haven't eaten, I better eat. Like like, but other than that, I wouldn't like be thinking what my next meal was when I was eating that one. Do you know what I mean? It's honestly so strange. And that side's amazing, but even bigger than that for me personally is the effect it's had on my blood sugar. Now, I'm going to put the photos in now. So I'm going to show you my blood sugar first on the morning before I took the Mounjaro, and then I'm going to show you my blood sugars on the tea time of of the same day after taking the Mounjaro on the dinner time, and then I'm going to show you my blood sugars from yesterday. And anyway, yeah, I'll do that. See what I mean? That's just mental. So, like I said, I've been 16, 18 for ages. Obviously, my blood sugars in the morning reflect that. Take the Mounjaro at dinner time, blood sugars on there have like pretty much halved. It's madness. And then, obviously, yesterday my blood sugars being 6, which is classed as normal. I mean, I'm far from normal as in any other things, but like, to have normal blood sugar levels is just mad. And yeah, it's literally blown me away, but it's super cool in the sense that it's telling my own body to do it. It's triggering my own body to produce it, rather than taking the insulin, although I still am, because you have to be weaned off it or something. And also they want to the dose that I'm on of Mounjaro, which is 2.5, is not a maintenance dose of diabetic medicine. It's 5 is, but you do the 2.5 for 4 weeks first, so your body gets used to it. And then I'll move on to the 5, and then she said that they'll like literally half the dose that I'm on now, which is 36. They'll half it to 18 essentially, and see how I go, and reduce it further till hopefully I'm just on the Mounjaro. That is the plan. And also obviously it's affecting my food intake, which is a good thing, because it's helping me with my diet. Although I felt like I was doing pretty well anyway. To not think about it is brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Like yeah, it's like I wish I'd done it years ago. Do you know what I mean? But obviously the main thing is to get my blood sugars at a normal level. So like obviously what I showed you was the first day and then one yesterday, but averaging sort of between 7 and 9, although the highest I've had I think is 10.5. And I did have one 3.8, which is classed as a hypo, although it's by 0.2 because you're supposed to be between 4 and 7. 0.2 of thing, which is why they reduced us from the 40 on the insulin to 36, because of that slight hypo. But yeah, I felt fine, it was fine. But anyway, I did what you were supposed to do. I had a sugary drink and then I had something starchy, and then I took my blood sugars half an hour later and they were 10. So it was all fine. But yeah. Yeah. So I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I've said everything I want to say. So I've done them. Right, I'm going to put my food in. So some of it is before the Mounjaro, some of it is from when I was in hospital, some of it is from with the Mounjaro. It's all just in there. I'll just put them all in. I honestly can't remember for the life of us what's apart from the sandwich with the beetroot, which I think is a blurred picture, but still it works. Then the stuff I had in the hospital, which it was, you know, they did do nice pie. There was corned beef pie, and it was made by Dixon's, which I don't know if they like UK wide or not, but yeah, they do make nice pies, so that was nice. But some of the other stuff, not so much. But there was jacket potato, which is fine, and blah blah blah. Anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna put them in now. As I said, I can't really remember what was there. I've tried to, because I was doing 2,400 calories before, I am now trying to stay, because it's kind of hard to eat stuff when you don't want anything, you don't fancy anything and stuff. Um, but I want to try and stay around 2,000 because I don't want to drop too low, so that I struggle, further down the line with like having somewhere to go, like stuff, diet wise. So I'm trying to stay around 2,000. That's still 400 less than I was doing. So I'm trying to be there. I think yesterday I did 1,830 ish. Day before that I did 2,028 or something. I can't remember. So I'm trying to be around there. I think my alarm just went off on my phone, that you might have heard on the end of the last bit there, which is like my Mounjaro alert. So I need to take it because when I was in hospital I ended up taking it a day late, which you're allowed to do. You can take it within 3 days, I think. So I ended up taking it a day late because my son forgot to bring it one day, so he brought it the next. And which, like I said, is fine. You're allowed to do that. So I'm sticking with doing it on the Tuesdays instead of the Mondays. So that'll be my third one. Yeah, my third one. Yeah. So I did one at home, one in the hospital, one here. So it'll be my third one. And yeah, like I said, everything's going great with that. Obviously, it's been a mental time. Absolutely mental time, and there's loads of other things as well that obviously I can't discuss, but yeah, I think I've covered everything. I hope I've covered everything because this video is going to be long, God knows. Anyway, I hope everyone is good and you're all well, and yeah, I think that's everything, definitely. So thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye bye now. Bye bye.